Hi, you're here sewing with Cody. In today's video, we are doing another segment of machine comparison using the brochure and the machine comparison on the back. We did this for the 3 series and now we're doing it for the 4 series. Now, Bernina 4 series sewing machines are some of Bernina's most popular machines because they're a more compact, standard size sewing machine that are packed with a lot of great features and full of functionality. And so we're going to go over the 3 different members of the 4 series, and like we can look on the back of the brochure, which is available on the Bernina website, we're going to take segment by segment and different parts for different part videos. So this is just part 1. We're going to go over the general information of the machines. So I have here the Bernina 475, which is our most popular and my favorite little guy. Then we also have the 480, which is one step above it. The one for space purposes I don't have up here is the Bernina 435, which is the one that comes before the 475. But they're all the same size and they all have a lot of the same features, which we'll see in this comparison guide. So let's get started. So under general information on the back of the brochure, it starts with the 435, then the center is the 475, and then the 480. So as for hook system, so all 3 of the Bernina 4 series have the Bernina B9 hook, which gives you that big jumbo bobbin. It's wonderful using this Bernina B9 hook system. So that's what we see there is the Bernina hook system. The next thing is maximum sewing speed, stitches per minute. It's at 900 stitches per minute. And the maximum, let's see. So the next one is the length of free arm to the right of the needle. So here we've got a little bit larger than the 3 series. So from the needle to the back of the throat, so this space is 7 inches. And our touch screens are 4.3 inches. And these are the same touch screens that we see on the Bernina 5 series. We have 8 LED lights underneath the throat, well, underneath by the sewing area where the needle threader and the presser foot are. Multifunctional knobs. So this is a step up from the 3 series. So these are wonderful. So it makes it super easy to adjust your stitch width and your stitch length and to really play with a lot of features on the machine, really fluid, really easy. And from this series on up, we all have those multifunctional knobs that we know and love. The other one is the maximum stitch width. So this is where some of the machines differ. So the Bernina 335 and 375 is a 5.5 millimeter stitch width. So that's the opening in your stitch plate. So basically, if you were to select a zigzag, you can make it the max at 5.5 millimeters wide. So also what that does, since it's smaller than the 480, its opening is 9 millimeters, so much bigger. So what's nice about this is so the opening's smaller, so the feed dogs are closer together, which it makes it easier, in my opinion, to sew more delicate fabrics. But most importantly, if we're doing a lot of piecing or quilt piecing, dealing with a lot of small pieces, like I'll work with a lot of Elizabeth Hartman patterns that call for like 3/4 inch squares or 1 inch squares, these little bitty guys. Having those feed dogs close together, and I can use a smaller 1/4 inch foot like the 37, the 57, makes it easier to sew those smaller pieces together. Well, the 480 gives you beautiful, large decorative stitches, but you have that much larger opening. Yes, you can add a straight stitch plate here, you can add a 5.5 millimeter and a straight stitch plate on this one, but in this case, the feed dogs are still further apart, so your feet are still on the larger side. So those are the 2 differences here. The next thing is maximum stitch length. So from the 3 series, we step up to 6 millimeters long. So basically, your straight stitch from needle penetration to needle penetration, the max for a regular straight stitch is 6 millimeters. So that's as long as we can make it. And that's the same for all the machines from this point on. The next thing is needle positions. You have 11 different needle positions. So even though this is only a 5.5 millimeter, you still can move your needle position in 11 different locations, including the center. And here we still have 11 as well. But here, all the way over to the right is much further over to the right or much further over to the left opposed to the 5.5 millimeter. That's just one of the advantages to the 9 millimeters. You have more room to move that needle. Sewing in every needle position. So this is something that with all of our Bernina machines, we can move and adjust our needle position with any stitch. Number of spool holders, you've got 2. So you have your horizontal spool holder laying back here, and then you've got your vertical spool holder up here that retracts into the machine. The next one is a semi-automatic needle threader. Just like all of the Bernina machines, we have our semi-automatic needle threader. I've got videos on those specifically. Automatic thread cutter. So the Bernina 475 and 480 both have automatic thread cutters. So you press the button, it cuts both top and bottom thread. The Bernina 435, the one below this guy, does not have the automatic thread cutter. I can't live without the automatic thread cutter. I absolutely love it. So it cuts it long enough so it doesn't unthread the needle the next time, so you can start sewing, but it doesn't cut it too long that it knots up your thread when you start sewing. So manual presser foot pressure. So on the side of the machines, there's a dial. You can see. So there's a dial here, and this is how we can adjust our pressure foot pressure. This is something the 3 Series did not have, and all of the machines from this point on have that pressure foot pressure adjustment. And some of the higher end machines, like some of the 5s, 7s, and 8s, the pressure foot pressure is automatically adjusted or electronically adjusted. And that's basically if you're sewing thicker or thinner fabrics, you're able to adjust that pressure foot pressure, or if you're sewing stretchy fabrics, you can adjust it so it doesn't stretch out your fabric while you're trying to sew. Let's see. Manual thread cutters. So you've got 4 on this machine. You've got 1 up here, which all Berninas have, up by the bobbin winder. You've got 1 right here, which is used for thread when you're using the needle threader. You've got 1 on the side, and then you have 1 down here by your bobbin case area to cut your bobbin thread once you put a new bobbin in. Reverse sewing, all the machines have the reverse sewing. That just gives you the ability to sew backwards and kind of tie off those threads. The Bernina adaptive thread tension. So this is something that's different from the Bernina 3 Series. So all of our tension is adjusted automatically. So when you adjust or change different stitches or change to a different stitch, if the machine feels it needs to adjust the tension, it will do it automatically. And you see it adjusted and changed up here in the top left-hand corner. But also with the Bernina adaptive thread tension is every time that needle comes down and makes a needle penetration, it adjusts the tension. So it gives you perfect tension at all times, because sometimes different needle positions may need a different tension or whatnot. It knows what to do and when to do it. So you'll kind of hear it change. You'll hear it make a little noise as you're sewing, and that's it adjusting the tension to give you beautiful tensions with all sorts of different threads. The next thing on the list is the Bernina Stitch Regulator. It's enabled. So these machines, with the exception of the 435. So the 435 cannot use the Bernina Stitch Regulator, and I've got videos on those as well. But the Bernina 475 and the 480 both can use the BSR, which is the Bernina Stitch Regulator. The machines do not come with it, but it is optional, which is nice if you have a larger machine that you have that BSR. You can easily use it on the 475 or 480. Start stop button. We saw this with the Bernina 3 Series. So this green light, you see it on both of them. All 3 of the 4 Series have it. This gives us the ability to sew without our foot pedal, and we can regulate our speed here. Something else that is different, which we'll see next, which is the slide speed control. So all the Berninas have this slide speed control. However, we saw it with the 3 Series that this only controlled the speed when we use the start stop button. But this allows us to control the speed when we're also using our foot pedal, which is wonderful. It's kind of like a cruise control. So you can kind of have it set at like a medium speed, and you can push all the way down the foot pedal, and it's going to restrict how fast the machine will go, which is nice, so you can go that nice steady pace. This is a feature that I absolutely love. Let's see. So the USB interface. So these machines can accept a USB stick, which is nice. So you can trade or get different decorative stitches, and you can bring them into these machines via USB stick. But also the USB stick gives us the ability to upgrade the machines. So if there's an update or an upgrade that comes along, we can easily do that to these machines, just like we have with our larger machines, which the 3 Series don't have that ability to do so. So the Bernina 475 and 435 have the basic Bernina foot pedal, just like the 3 Series. However, the Bernina 480 has the more advanced foot pedal. So this is the Bernina foot control with needle up, needle down, like we see here. So we push down here, down the heel, this will bring our needle up or down, and we push here, this controls the speed, just like any foot pedal. So the Bernina 480 does come with the nicer, more advanced foot pedal. Just gives you more options. So needle stop up and down, just like with all Berninas, we have that. We can adjust it here on the screen. So the top left-hand corner, just to the right of the thread tension, we can adjust if the machine will stop with the needle down or the needle up whenever we stop. And also on the brochure, it lists drag and drop. So this one, it's not something that you'd be using on a regular basis, but this allows you to swipe and delete and kind of drag different things around, usually stitches in your combi mode. Bobbin winding while sewing. With all the Berninas, we have a separate bobbin winder. So when you push it in, it starts winding a bobbin at a single speed. But you can also be sewing at the same time. So it doesn't switch mode. There's 2 separate motors with all of the Berninas. The other one is OnScreen Help. So this is a wonderful feature. So I'm actually going to zoom in on the 475 so you can see this. So the OnScreen Help, you can hit the question mark, and you can hit anything on the screen. So if you have a question about this, it will tell you about it. So it's a wonderful feature. So you have to go looking through your book, you just hit the question mark button, and then hit that icon, and you'll see what that icon is. There's also an on-screen manual, which we get more into when we are have the overview of the Bernina 4 Series. The setup program. So all the machines have this setup program. So basically you can set how the machine reacts when you press different buttons. So if you press the thread cutter, do you want to just cut the thread, or do you want to knot off and kind of tie off that thread and then cut it? So that's a setup program. You can set up your machine to better suit your needs. And the last thing in the general information is the weight of the machine. So this machine weighs 20.94 pounds, so basically 21 pounds or 9.5 kilograms. So it's got a little bit of weight. It's a Bernina. Remember, Berninas are made out of a lot more metal than your average machine, so they've got a lot of weight, which is nice because it does absorb any vibration that the machine may generate, but it also gives you a nice, robust machine, but it's got some weight to it. So there's different ways you can carry the machine. Typically, when we carry the machine, we'll put our hand underneath the throat and hold the machine close to our body. It really reduces the weight of the machine by bringing it closer to you. It reduces the center of gravity. It makes it a lot easier to carry around, but you do have the handle on all the Bernina machines. Other than that, that's it for the brochure overview under the general information for the Bernina 4 Series. Hopefully this helps, and stay tuned to some more parts as we go over the rest of the brochure and cover more about the Bernina 4 Series and better understand the differences between the 3 and see which one better suits you if you are looking for a Bernina 4 Series. All right, well, happy sewing.